Let's get right into this one, guys. Remstar says so. Okay, Chris Eubank Jr. Um, he done exactly what I thought he would do, and he beat James Degale. It was a great, impressive performance by Chris Eubank, and the only thing he didn't do was maybe finish him off with a knockout or stoppage. But he did put him down two or three times in that match. I remember there was two counts, but there was a third time where De hit the floor, but I think the referee had sort of deemed that to be a slippage, a slip, which to me was absolute bollocks. Chris Eubank started off this fight as the aggressor. He went in there and he was throwing meaningful, devastating sort of shots. He was doing everything he could to try and take James DeGale out. As far as I know, I gave James DeGale the first round, and there may have been maybe one or two sort of 50-50 rounds in between that, but I feel like Chris Eubank sort of dominated the match. Having a trainer in his corner really helped. You could see a massive improvement in comparison to the Chris Eubank that went and fought George Groves for the WBA Super semi-final in the WBSS tournament, or the Billy Joe Saunders. I think one thing Chris Eubank can do to celebrate now is say he's got that monkey off his back. He has gone on and he has beaten somebody who is deemed a world-class opposition fighter, even though James DeGale is maybe a little bit sort of long in the tooth. At the end of the day, I think James DeGale was still the bookies' favourites for this match. So Chris Eubank getting a win, it's great for him. It's amazing. Um, there was a few things that I didn't like in the fight. Like James DeGale was being some fruity don. Like he kept jumping on Eubank's back. He was trying to ride him. Now I don't know what kind of nightclubs James DeGale hangs out in. That's none of my business. But you're in a a career defining match where you've already said that the loser retires, and you keep jumping on this guy's back. I'm like, whoa, bro, calm it down. Do you know what I mean? But then what happened was after he jumped on Eubank's back for about the 10th time, Eubank did like some sort of wrestling body slam and dashed his ass to the floor. Um, and what made it worse is that the referee deducted a point off of Eubank for doing that, which I didn't really agree with because James DeGale should have been deducted points for continuously sort of jumping on him. Like he also tried to like scoop his legs. I don't know. It was like, were these guys in WWE or a boxing ring? Like, I didn't really understand what was going on, like between the pair of them. But all in all, it was a great performance by Eubank. He sort of stuck to the jab most of the time. He did listen to his trainer most of the time. There was a bit where James DeGale started coming back throughout the sort of middle rounds where Eubank just basically stopped throwing a jab. And I think he stopped listening to his trainer and then he sort of snapped back into it. But I think that keeping his trainer in his corner, Chris Eubank, definitely could look at sort of improving and going forwards. He's saying that he wants to fight anybody with a belt at super middleweight or middleweight. Looking at the super middleweight division, um, the WBO is a little bit up in the air because nobody knows what's going on. Gilberto Ramirez claims that he's no longer sort of vacating that belt. Caleb Plant has just won the IBF belt. Anthony Durrell just beat Avnid Yildirim for the vacant WBC title. You've got Callum Smith, and the WBA regular belt is also vacant. If I was Chris Eubank, I wouldn't be looking to get the WBA regular belt. It's almost as irrelevant as the IBO title that he's already got. Who would I be looking to fight if I was Eubank? I'd probably be looking at maybe Anthony Durrell or Caleb Plant. I think Gilberto Ramirez, I think he might just be a little bit too technically savvy for him. And I think Callum Smith would absolutely tear him to shreds. Looking at the middleweight division, this one's a little bit more sort of, it's a little bit more strange. Obviously, we've got Danny Jacobs unifying with Canelo Alvarez for the WBA Super and WBC title. And then obviously Demetrius Andrade, who was set to fight Billy Joe Saunders, is now without an opponent. So potentially, if Al Heyman could get Chris Eubank sort of tied up, maybe he could drop down to middleweight and fight Andrade for the WBO title. That's something we could look at. But it was an impressive win for Eubank. You could see the happiness in his face after that fight. Eubank Sr. was there, sort of lifted him into the air, and Chris Eubank is now a two-time IBO champion. Now, personally, I don't believe that the IBO title is a legitimate world championship belt, but it's just a waste of time title, something to carry around your waist or over your shoulders, and something to pose with the fans. I don't know what's next for Eubank Jr. Should he stay at super middle? Should he go back down to middle? I don't know. There's good fights that he could make it either way. So it's a strange one. I mean, whatever he wants to do, I'm sure him and his dad will sit down and sort of map this one out over the next couple of weeks. Um, who knows? You might even see if Eubank can get himself hold of a strap at super middleweight. Maybe he could entice Golovkin to come up to super middle. Who knows? But yeah, like a great win. I think James Degale now, I think he should stick to his word. I think he should throw the towel in and sort of retire now. I don't really think there's much left for him. Um, James Degale, I knew that it was going to be a long night for him. I remember watching an interview with Eddie Hearn's favorite rent boy, and James Degale looked like he was drained. I think he might have sort of struggled to make the weight, um, and that might be part and parcel of what was going on. Also, why on earth would James Degale go and get Paulie Malignaggi in his corner? Paulie Malignaggi is not known for being a boxing trainer or anything like that, so I don't know. It doesn't really make sense to me. But yeah, I think it's time for James DeGale to retire, and I think Eubank Jr.'s got options now. Great, impressive win. The monkey's off his back, and he has shown that he can mix it with, the top tier of boxers up there. Let me know what you think Eubank should do next. And also, if you think James DeGale should retire, hit a comment, hit like, hit subscribe, share this video. You're watching Remstar Says So.